goodness, I'm probably crazy. This is the first time I've done this. As far as putting on my makeup online and telling a story, I've got my whitening retainers in, so if I slobber a bit or something like that, you know why. The reason I am doing this is because I have been praying to God for the last, well, when I look through my journals, it's for 10 years on what my purpose is and how I can most glorify Him. Ironically, it was about 10 years ago when I decided that I was going to quit doing something that I was already doing, which was being an advocate for families with special needs. I have 3 adopted children, 2 of which have special needs, and the other one, of course, her siblings have special needs. And so that alone is a whole nother issue, but I quit because it was extremely overwhelming and I was draining myself. But now looking back, I know that God would have given me whatever I needed to keep doing it and get through it. I had actually written a book about my oldest daughter who has fetal alcohol syndrome and a couple other issues related to the fetal alcohol syndrome. And that book was published, and I had families all across the nation reaching out to me in other countries and everything. And I have no idea what I'm doing with my makeup. I'm trying something new, and I guess I'm nervous, so I'm just kind of winging it. We'll see how I look when it's finished. And this is the first time I've tried to do it looking at my phone, so we'll see how that works out. But anywho, after the book was written, I got a lot of publicity. Not that that's what I was wanting. I was wanting to just reach to the families, let them know that they are not alone. And within that, I was on some podcasts, blogs, TV interviews, newspaper articles, things like that, that did serve the purpose of letting families know that they were not alone and getting to share my story. While I was doing that, my oldest started going through a lot of emotional and medical and physical challenges. It was hard on our marriage. It was hard on our family. It was hard on her. It was hard on me. It was just hard. And I felt like I needed to back up. At the exact same time, my middle child was not getting the services he needed. He has autism within the school system. He was in 1st grade at that time, and that's a whole nother story. But his teacher basically had him barricaded behind a couple of walls on the computer so that she didn't have to deal with him and she could deal with the rest of the class. So I pulled him out and started homeschooling him. As time went on, as people would email me or text me or call me, wanting me to speak or just wanting to talk about what was going on with their family, I just started dodging the calls because I physically and mentally, it took a toll on my life and I couldn't do it. The calling has not gone away. I still feel like being an advocate for families with special needs and standing up for my children, standing up for siblings in a special needs family is still something that God wants me to do. When RFK made the disparaging comments about autism, it made me realize there's still a lot to be done. There's obviously people that are not as familiar or as educated as they need to be about autism. My background was in human development family studies. My minor was in interior design. I flipped those my senior year in college because the human dynamics side of family studies just really intrigued me, and it was almost like it was therapy for me. And now, knowing what I've done and adopted children with special needs, that was all God's plan. I know that without a doubt. Right after college, I worked with children in hospitals. I was a liaison between the families in the hospitals, the doctors, and an advocate for the child that was in long-term hospitalization. After that, I worked in a private school with young children, and then worked for a school system as an early childhood intervention specialist. I was the first certified early intervention specialist on staff, and that was actually another God thing. That was the very first time I'd ever worked one-on-one with a child with autism. It was also the very first time that I heard about fetal alcohol syndrome. Looking back now, I think that's just such a God wink is what I call them. At 16, I was already going through menopause, and I was told I would never have children. And at 16 years old, I looked at the doctors and I said, miracles happen to those who believe. And they were somewhat in shock. They said, do you understand what we're saying? I said, yes, I do. There was no doubt in my mind that I would, in fact, be a mom one day, and that was my ultimate goal. When I met my ex-husband now, we did have several talks about me supposedly not being able to have children, and would he mind adopting or going through infertility treatments. He was not against that at all. And so shortly after we got married, we started the infertility process. We were going to get an egg donor, which would have been my cousin. I could still carry the baby, but it would be my cousin's eggs. During that time, we were applying for adoption agencies as well, but we married 2 years, which we were not. I had been praying ever since that day at the doctor's office when they told me I could not have children for a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl that would look just like me one day. Well, lo and behold, some friends of ours at work had run across a little girl, another God wink. She was 13 months at the time, and she was staying with her aunt, but she was in child protective custody. Her aunt was unable to keep her at the time due to some other family situations. They wanted to try to find a very good home for her. Well, we were not foster parents. We had not gone through the certification process. We were told that would take a long time. It's not something you just do automatically. God winked at us again. We were able to become certified foster parents in record time. We were also told you can't just pick the child that you want. The state places the child according to what's best for the child. We ended up adopting my oldest child, fostering and adopting her. She was about 19 months old when we finally had her live with us. Stay tuned, because part 2 will be more about after we got her.